All rise. Veuillez vous lever. The International Criminal Court is now in session. L'audience de la Cour pénale internationale est ouverte. Please be seated. Veuillez vous asseoir.
Thank you very much. Court officer, please call the case.
Bonjour.
Morning. A case in the Republic of Kenya in the case of the prosecutor against William Samuel Ruto and Joshua Arab Sang. Reference ICC 01090111. And this is a public session, Mr. President.
Appearances, please.
Good morning, Mr. President, Your Honours. Appearances for the prosecution remain the same this morning.
Thank you. Mr. Khan.
Mr. President, Your Honours, good morning. The appearances for the defence remain the same, save that Mr. Ruto is in court, and right at the back, Mr. Anand Shah, our legal assistant, is in court. Otherwise, the composition remains as yesterday.
Thank you.
Mr. President, Mr. Sang's team remains the same. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Mr. President, Your Honours. For the victims, Arslan Naren Tetsik and my colleague Caroline Hetzig today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we come to the business of the testimony of the witness on the stand, Prosecutor, any update on where we stand with the next witness to be called?
Your Honours, no updates save that in response to the request sent by the Chamber's legal officer, we have asked the witness 409 not to travel until there's a determination from the Chamber. The situation remains that of the three witnesses we have been instructed to contact, witness P32 has indicated he is not available for the rest of this year. Both P128 and P409 are available, but only P409 is in the position to travel immediately. The result being that he could be ready to testify if he leaves shortly by Wednesday next week. P128 would probably not be able to testify before Friday next week. Those are, it seems, our choices, Your Honours, and whatever the court directs, we will follow that procedure.
So P128, you say, if it falls on that witness to testify, would be available only on next Friday, that is the 29th?
Your Honours, if the normal pre-trial preparation schedule is followed, that would be the case. The difficulty is he can only be handed over to the VW on Sunday. VW require a medical clearance before he can fly, which I'm told can only take place on Monday.
Can you put dates on those?
Yes, Your Honour. Can someone give me Monday's date? 25th. The handover would be on the 24th to the VWU. Medical assessment and flight out of the handover destination on Monday the 25th. The arrival would be Tuesday morning the 26th. VW insist on a rest day because of the overnight flight, which means we could only do the witness preparation on Wednesday the 27th. Unless the court were to waive the 24-hour rule between preparation and trial starting, we would therefore only be able to start on the Friday the 29th.
And if the court were able to waive the 24 hours?
Your Honours, this witness's evidence is fairly limited. The statement, witness statement contains some 9 pages of narration. We think that this witness will be fairly limited. We believe that we could accommodate both the witness preparation and the witness familiarization conducted by VW in one day. So we believe that it would be possible for this witness to start testifying on Thursday, depending on obviously what my learned friends has to say and the Chamber's orders.
Thursday to the 28th.
When Thursday the 28th, yes, Your Honor.
Right. And then if we're still working on the hypothesis of the possibility of this witness
Yes.
being the one, we're not making any decision in that regard. But if it is the case that the witness is able to start on the 28th, you will be able to complete the examination in chief when?
Your Honours, if there are no interruptions, I would say
No.
by the first session of Friday morning.
We cannot say if there are no interruptions. This is a litigation experience. We have to factor in what ordinarily goes on in the course of litigation. So keeping that in mind, if he were then, or she, I don't know which pronoun to use, were to start on the 28th, you can complete by what time in the normal course of events?
My estimate would be by the morning break on Friday the 29th.
All right.
If I can add one further piece of evidence, my understanding is that witness 128 will testify in English, which might speed things up, whereas witness 409 will require an interpreter. Witness 409's evidence is somewhat more extensive. He does also implicate both of the accused, so I anticipate there might be a little bit more cross-examination.
Thank you very much. Mr. Keegan-Katwa?
Mr. President, this witness touches my client.
Which one? We've spoken about two witnesses, 409 and 128.
409, Mr. President, on an issue which it is alleged he was in
Let's not discuss
Yes.
the details so we can speed up the...
Yes. And Mr. President, subject to what Mr. Ruto's team, and I'm saying this out of regard for them because the witness mentions him extensively, we would not have a problem ourselves with that witness 409, Mr. President.
You would not have difficulty with
Yes.
witness 409,
Yes.
so you
But-
can accommodate
Yes.
witness 409.
Yes.
Okay.
But I would want to say I differ my position to what Mr. Ruto's team says.
That's understandable and that's understood. That's, They are part of the case as well.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Ms. Khan?
Mr. President, of course, we've previously told the prosecution and the court that we would be in very significant difficulties to cross-examine either 128 or 409. Both of these witnesses deal with Nandi Hills, and both of these witnesses were scheduled to appear very far down in the witness order, namely witnesses 26 and 27, respectively. Your Honours, we of course...
You mean numbers 27 and 28 in the lineup?
In the order.
In the order?
In the
Yes.
order
Okay.
of witnesses. Your Honours, of course there's been disruption, and we've attempted in good faith to be as flexible as possible so that the trial can proceed without disruption. Your Honours, we put forward an array of witnesses that we were able to cross-examine. We all know, for example, that there's difficulties with 442, 469, 488. The two experts were also put forward as possible witnesses to slot in. So it's not for want of trying. The defence put forward a menu of witnesses, so to speak, that we could cross-examine at short notice. But, Your Honours, a point comes where our desire to move on must be balanced by the need to effectively move on. We can't, unfortunately, I would not be in a position to properly cross-examine either 128 or 409. We did anticipate that our investigations were staggered so that in the limited time that we had, we could focus based upon the witness list and the witness order that was given by the prosecution. And I've previously said in court and by way of email yesterday in relation to 409 that we would not be in a position to adequately confront these witnesses and question them before the new year. So, Your Honour, that's my submission on the matter. We have been flexible. I hope the court will will accept, both in relation to the witnesses we were able to deal with, and indeed to change our diaries and all the rest of it so that we could be here today as directed by the court. But, Your Honours, unfortunately it seems because of a variety of factors with the various witnesses that the prosecution have contacted, it doesn't seem that there is a witness that is available to the prosecution that would allow us to proceed effectively to examination in chief and cross-examination next week. Your Honour, the only other option, which is, in my respectful submission, never the best option, but I put it forward, is, of course, if the prosecution and the court are minded that a witness be called only for the purposes of examination in chief, of course, there would be no objections to that, with the caveat that the witness would have to be recalled later for the purposes of effective defence cross-examination. But I cannot proceed to P128 or P409 next week, unfortunately. I hope that details our position clearly.
Do both witnesses encumber your case in equal measure, 128 and 409, in equal measure?
Yes, Your Honour, both deal with 5 meetings. 5. It's not an issue that I can just rush over. 5 different meetings are alleged, and these are one of the difficulties that we put forward in pre-trial motions about allegations that are not sometimes pled in the DCC or the pre-trial brief, but are raised in witness evidence, that we have to be in a position to confront unless it's struck out by order of the court, so that the defence is not put to these strenuous obligations of confronting matters not alleged in the charges. But, Your Honours, we, at the moment, absent such an order, we have to be in a position to at least, at the most basic level, address allegations that the prosecution witnesses are raising in their proposed evidence.
I'm not sure that I see your effort to answer my question, but I still must ask you, the fact that both witnesses discussed 5 meetings, does that necessarily mean that they encumber your case in equal measure?
Your Honour, of course, that's a matter for the judges in due course, but from my perspective, yes, at this moment, I cannot say that one is lighter than the other. Of course, in due course, I'll make submissions as to the merits or deficiencies of these witnesses, but at the moment, I must be in a position to adequately confront these witnesses, and I'm not, unfortunately, in that position, despite, it's not for want of trying, it's because of the combination of change of witness orders, change of the court calendar, and in the end, it's, in my respectful submission, it would be unfair to require us to deal with these witnesses that we were not required to confront. Your Honour, just one additional matter. We've also asked the prosecution several times for a new witness order. And I know the prosecution are in difficulties. I'm not alleging any bad faith at all. I know that there are a whole variety of difficulties that always a calling party will have. But it would help our preparation to have regular updates as to the next 10 witnesses, so that we can plan.
Let's not discuss that now. Let's just deal with what we have on hand. That's a different matter. We will deal with that.
So be it.
All right. Before I call on the prosecutor to respond on the possibility of examination in chief only, I'd like to return to Mr. Kigen-Katwa on witness 128.
Mr. President, I'm equally ready on the same terms as I explained in respect to witness number 409, Mr. President.
So you will be ready for both 128 and 409?
Yes, Mr. President. Okay. Again, with a rider that with due regard to the other team. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Narasatsing, I'll get to you in a moment. But, Mr. Steinberg, the less satisfying option of examination in chief only has been put on the table. What do you say to that?
Your Honours, the prosecution is in principle never in favor of breaking the evidence of witnesses.
Neither are we.
And more especially when the witnesses are traveling for some distance, it would be severely disruptive, no doubt, to the witness. Obviously, I haven't had the opportunity of consulting with VWU, but I imagine that they would also be very much opposed to that sort of calendar. Your Honours, it would seem that the witness would be brought over here for approximately 4 sessions worth of evidence, and to put the witness and all of the parties into such inconvenience for the sake of saving 1 day, Your Honours, would seem to be somewhat disproportionate. So my submission is the witnesses are available, we are in the hands of the court, but it would seem to the prosecution that if the witness cannot be started and finished in this session, then the more sensible option would be to simply hold over the witness until the next available opportunity. Your Honour, if I may just address one issue, however, that my learned friend did raise, and I haven't studied Witness 128's, I haven't studied Witness 128's statement in any detail, but my colleague who will be leading this witness indicates that he in fact only speaks of 2 meetings, only one of which Mr. Ruto was allegedly present at. So in my submission, this witness's evidence does engage the defense for Mr. Ruto, but not to nearly the same extent as Witness 409, and does not engage, as far as I can see, the witness, the evidence relating to the second accused.
All right, Mr. Khan, be prepared to speak to that, but not now. Mr. Narasatsing, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Can I ask for a private session?
Want to ask for private session?
Yes, please.
For how long?
No more than 2-3 minutes, that's all.
All right, we go to private session for a minute or 2.
Court officer, we are in public session. Mr. President.
Prosecutor says 128 discusses 2 meetings, not 5. Does that change your position?
Your Honour, it does not. And there are, in any event, it's wrong. But there's a distinction in a case like this. One can't dance around the issue, we say. This witness makes allegations that Mr. Ruto was in certain meetings. In addition, other members of the network are said to have taken part in other meetings. Your Honours, we don't have the luxury, whilst we have to attempt to grasp the main issue, which are the charges.
I mean the alleged network.
Indeed, the alleged network. When the defence has to try to octopus-like grasp both the DCC and the pre-trial brief, and also deal with allegations that are just raised in the statements but are not founded in the charges, we have to do our best. It would be professional negligence to proceed without attempting to do the most basic investigations. Now, Your Honours, there's a clear factual nexus between these 2 Nandi Hill witnesses, so they can't simply be divorced from each other.
All right, Mr. Khan, let's stop there. What I wanted from you was whether your position has changed, and you've just said no.
Your Honour, unfortunately,
so
unfortunately, it hasn't changed.
all right, it's okay. we've consulted, and it's unfortunate that we cannot have another witness. That's what it boils down to. After the witness currently on the stand, witness 535, we will not be ordering the calling of any of witnesses 128 or 409 in light of the submissions and the difficulties we've had counsel for the prosecution and for Mr. Ruto expressed. Seems like the only counsel who's prepared to roll quickly is Mr. Keegan Katwa. We will then be adjourning after the testimony of the witness currently on the stand. We will hope that we are not in this sort of position, although it's an awkward one because we were supposed to be in recess now, but because of the adjournment of the Kenyatta case, putting it over to February, we try to use the time that has become available to make more progress in the current case. I'm hoping that that is the only explanation for why we're here. But we find ourselves in this predicament, but in future we should always have backup and be prepared to go, everyone. And we will hope that the break that's going to result will enable the defense to do all those investigations they say they haven't done, so that we should all be prepared to roll with the flow in future. We will stop that now and bring in witness 535 and continue with his testimony. Court officer, is he on standby? All right, we'll bring the blinds will come down for the witness to be led into the courtroom, and then we'll continue with his testimony.
Your Honour, if I may just speak to the other issue my learned friend raised about the list of the further witnesses. I can confirm that he did in fact ask me, and my intention had been to provide him with that list prior to this session, but unfortunately the uncertainties about the witnesses in this session and the uncertainty about the starting date of the next session has given me pause to commit myself on the basis of so many unknowns. Unfortunately, as must have been clear to the Chamber by now, there are significant logistical challenges in getting witnesses to court, which are compounded if we do not have certainty as to the court schedules. So the plea from the prosecution side would be that as soon as we can have confirmation of our starting date for the next, well, starting and ending dates for the next session, bearing in mind that things may always change, the sooner I can provide my learned friend with the information he requests and the sooner he can get on with his investigations. I have previously made submissions, and my learned friend supported these, that it would be very difficult and onerous to begin the session on the 5th of January due to the fact that the witness would have to travel so far over the Christmas period. I have consulted since then with VW, and they share my concerns in that regard. So my request would be, Your Honours, if Your Honour could confirm as soon as possible our starting date. Our request is that it should be Monday the 13th of January, and the length of that session, which I imagine would be circumscribed by the beginning of the Kenya 2 case on the 5th of February. The sooner I can get some clarity as to my exact witness order and assist my learned friends as requested.
It seems to me that what Mr. Khan is asking for is the list that would remain, even if it moves with the fluctuating judicial calendar. That list could always still be used. So the judicial calendar or uncertainty of it shouldn't affect the principle of that sort of line-up. But
Your Honours,
one second. We will be resuming after this break, after the Christmas break. We will start the next session on the 13th of January.
I'm indebted to the Chamber, Your Honours.
We will plan to proceed for 3 weeks. Again, pending the developments in the Kenyatta case. The difficulty, of course, is that, as you know, the two cases share personnel, possibly courtroom, and logistical support. So we somehow tethered to the other case, and what happens there in that case affects how we move in this one. Right.
Thank you, Your Honours. And perhaps I should indicate from the prosecution side that it may be prudent to make contingency plans in case, for some or other reason, that case does not proceed, and that perhaps with a week's break we could then proceed with the following witnesses.
That's a very wise idea.
Just on the issue of the unchanging witness orders, unfortunately, Your Honours, for logistical reasons, the sessions and the timing does affect witnesses who can come. It affects it because of travel times, because of preparation times necessary for certain witnesses who have very, very long statements that have to be read back to them. Your Honours, I know you are anxious to proceed, but if I may just address one more matter very briefly. It's just a matter of clarity for the record of something that arose yesterday. Your Honours asked me where the prosecution got the information that it was reported to the Assembly of State Parties that Mr. Ruto would be addressing the Assembly. I did not have the information to hand yesterday, which resulted in my learned friend characterizing the information I presented as backroom gossip. I have recently come into possession of the minutes.
Mr. 1 second. It's time back. We've closed that matter. Let's not proceed on it. We're not doing anything with it anymore. We don't want to waste time with litigating it. It's not a live issue anymore, that's all.
My only concern, Your Honours, is that it's been widely reported in the media, which is incorrect.
See, what's going to happen is we will open up the litigation now. You've raised yours, then Mr. Khan, I'm sure, will get up and say something else, and then there's a witness we need to get to. Okay.
Escort, please.
Thank you. Court officer, please bring in the witness. Blinds down first, please.
And Mr. President, while that's done,
Nous sommes en audience publique, Monsieur le Président.
Court officer, we are now in open session, Your Honour.
Thank you very much. Witness, welcome back to witness seat. Mr. Mofade will continue his examination in chief of you. Just to remind you to remember the advice given to you yesterday. Listen to the questions carefully and answer them as truthfully as you can, as clearly as possible, and always observe the need to pace yourself in a way that allows the interpreters and the court reporters to capture what you're saying and assist the court in recording your evidence correctly. Mr. Mofade, we are in open session.
Mr. President, we left off yesterday in private session. I need to continue what I was exploring with the witness that could possibly identify him in private session this morning as well.
How long?
I anticipate probably about 15 to 20 minutes.
It's a long time to be in private session.
Your Honours will note the nature of the information I was eliciting yesterday. I do think I might as well kill two birds with one stone, as it were. What we might achieve is that, as a result of this, we'll have a longer public session at the end of the private session.
let's go into private session then.
Court officer, we are now in public session, Your Honour, and the documents can be viewed by the people who are inside the courtroom.
And just for the record, although I intend to come back to this document, it may be removed from the screen for the time being. Mr. Witness, now on this particular day when you saw the 1,000 or more Kalenjin on the hill, did anyone amongst your group contact the police?
Yes, Your Honor.
And please just answer yes or no. Do you know who contacted the police?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, please look on the list in front of you. Is that person's name on that list?
Yes, Your Honor.
And can you indicate the number on the list where that person's name appears?
Number 6.
And what is the ethnicity of person number 6?
Akikuyu.
And how do you know he contacted the police?
We were with him.
And how did he contact the police?
He called them with his mobile.
And do you know what the result of this phone call was?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please tell us, did the police arrive?
No.
And do you know why they did not arrive?
They gave some excuses.
Do you know what excuses they gave?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please tell us.
They said they had no fuel. They had not been ordered.
when person number 6 phoned the police and they did not arrive, what did your group do?
We started leaving the place.
And where did you go? You said you started leaving the place. Where did you go?
Towards the Uganda Road.
Now, at this point, did you see what the group of Kalenjin on the hill were doing? Did you hear the question, Mr. Witness?
No.
You said you started leaving the place. And my question was, at that point, did you see what the group of Kalenjin on the hill were doing?
I can't remember.
Can you describe what the group of Kalenjin on that hill, can you describe what they were wearing?
Pardon your question again.
Did you see how this group of Kalenjin were dressed? Did you see how they were dressed?
They had their ordinary clothes.
You have told us they were singing songs. Were they carrying anything?
Yes.
Can you tell us what they were carrying, please?
They had bows and arrows.
Did you see if they used the bows and arrows?
Yes, Your Honor.
Where did they fire the bows and arrows to?
Towards the Kikuyus.
did you see if these group of Kalenjin were disguised in any way?
Please ask it again.
Your Honour, perhaps Madam Frank can just ask for a description and take it in that way. I think it's a proper way of asking questions.
Mr. President, I'll ask the question the way I see fit, unless Your Honour says otherwise.
He is saying you were leading.
Mr. Witness, I did say Kikuyus. I actually meant Kalenjin. Now, can you describe how these Kalenjin appeared?
At that time, they had put some ashes in their faces.
And you told us yesterday that they were coming down the hill and burning houses. Do you know any of the persons whose houses were burnt? Please just say yes or no for now.
Yes, Your Honour.
And do you see the names of any of those persons on the list in front of you?
Yes, Your Honour.
Could you tell us the numbers where those names appear on the list?
Number 7, number 8, and number 9.
How do you know the houses of number 7, 8, and 9 were burnt? How do you know this?
We went there to assist them.
And please describe what you saw when you went there to assist them.
We saw person number 5 standing and the Kalenjin youth seated and others squatting.
You say you saw person number 5 standing and the youth squatting. Were they, how far away was person number 5 from the Kalenjin youth that were seated and squatting?
Pardon your question, please.
How far away was person number 5 from these Kalenjin youth seated?
He was with them.
And do you know how many Kalenjin youth were with person number 5?
No, Your Honor.
Is it possible to give an estimate? Were there about 10, hundreds, thousands?
No, Your Honor.
And where exactly did you see person number 5 and this group of Kalenjin youth?
They were at location 3.
You said you started to leave the area. Did you manage to get away from that area in the end?
Yes, Your Honor.
Counsel, you mean the testimony about them leaving the area after the police were called and did not come?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Please proceed.
And how did the Kalenjin youth react when you started to leave the area?
They start going down the hill.
Were they coming towards you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Then please describe what happened.
When we were leaving the place, because they were coming down, when they were more and more, we tried to run away.
Please continue. Did you manage to get away, all of you?
No, Your Honor. We had person number 10 who was drunk. He couldn't run away with us, so that we left him behind.
And do you know what happened to person number 10 when you left him behind?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please describe what happened.
When we tried to get person number 10, person number 10, we could not manage to take him with us because they were throwing stones, they were shooting us with balls. Now they were more. That was the time we left person number 10, and when we were going, we saw him being beaten by the Kalenjins.
Did you see what they were beating him with? Did you see what they used to beat him?
They were beating him with stones.
And do you know what happened to person number 10 as a result of this?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please tell us.
He died.
And do you know what ethnicity person number 10 is?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please tell us.
He was a Kikuyu.
And you've told us that person number 7, 8, and 9, their houses were burnt. Do you know the ethnicity of these persons?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please tell us their ethnicity.
All are Kikuyus.
Now you've been describing how you managed to escape the group and how person number 10 was attacked. Where did the rest of your group go?
We decided to leave the place. Now we were going towards Uganda Road now to move from that place.
And describe for us what happened as you were going towards Uganda Road.
When we were trying to go to Uganda Road, we heard a scream. It was a big scream.
Counsel.
Please take your time, Mr. Witness. Are you okay to continue, Mr. Witness?
When we heard the scream, and the scream was going up, we decided to go and leave our children, wives on Uganda Road, and we head where the scream was.
Counsel, we've heard about Uganda Road now. Is there an alternative name? Not to ask for the alternative to be used, just so we can capture it on the record for Uganda Road. Is it known by any other name? It looks like Mr. Hooper at some point had made a suggestion that Uganda Road had another name.
Your Honour, it's the Eldoret Jua Kali Road.
Witness, do you know that? Is Uganda Road also known as the Eldoret Juakali Road?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. You don't have to call it Eldoret Juakali Road. You can keep on calling it Uganda Road. We now know what you mean. Please proceed.
Mr. President, I'm grateful. And Mr. Witness, what you were describing is that when you heard the scream, you left your wives and children, and I think what you said, although the transcript did not reflect it, I think you said you head back. Who were those? Which group went towards the scream?
Kikuyu men.
And why did you decide to go towards the scream?
Because the scream, they were shouting and saying, help, help, help. So that we decided all men to go and help.
And did you eventually get to where the scream had come from?
Yes.
Please describe for us what you saw.
When we reached there, we found person number 6 being attacked. He was being beaten by the Kalenjins.
Do you know how many Kalenjins were beaten, person number 6?
No, Your Honor.
Do you know if the Kalenjins that were beaten, person number 6, were part of the group that had been on the hill?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you saying, yes, they were part of that group?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did you see what they were beating person number 6 with?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please describe what they were beating him with.
They had rungus and pangas, bows and arrows.
And you say you can't tell us, you can't remember a number, but was this a large group of Kalenjin or a small group?
It was a large group.
And what was person number 6 doing when this was going on?
had a gun. He was shooting in the air. When he tried to run, he fell down. That's the time the Kalenjins attacked him.
And just for the transcript, did you say he was shooting in the air?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you know what happened to his gun?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please tell us.
They took the gun. The Kalenjin took the gun and they went with it.
Do you know if person number 6 shot at any of the Kalenjin?
No, Your Honor.
Are you saying no, he did not shoot at any of them?
Yes, he did not shoot anyone.
Do you know why?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please tell us.
He was ordered by the government not to use the gun.
In any event, do you know what eventually happened to person number 6?
Yes, Your Honor.
And please tell us what happened to him.
There's a neighbor who came with a car and he took him to the hospital, Moi and Teaching and Referral Hospital.
So Mofade, can we leave it there?
We can, Your
Honor. Witness will take our morning break now. We will be back in the court with you in 30 minutes. We will bring down the shades and let you off for now.